It's Wednesday. Joined here on set by our film critic Lisa Nelson. It's hard to believe that just 1 week ago today, Europe awoke to the news that Barack Obama had been re-elected. Lisa, what on earth have you been doing for the past week?
Well, you know, Stuart, there are a few things more amusing than reading conservative newspaper editorials and website essays that were published before the election, because very prominent Republican and right-wing commentators were absolutely convinced, based on the information they had, that Mitt Romney was going to prevail, and possibly by a landslide.
And I bet this is kind of a bottomless source of chuckles for Lisa, but what's it got to do with the movies?
Well, it couldn't be more pertinent, and I'll tell you why. Because out in France today is the excellent Danish film The Hunt, about an honest, caring man named Lucas who is wrongly accused of child molestation, and nothing could be further from the truth. But as the pundits who were convinced of a Romney victory proved, flawed information can just take on a life of its own and reinforce itself. So Lucas, brilliantly played by Mads Mikkelsen, who we saw on the poster, finds himself persecuted and ostracized as everyone in his community bases their behavior toward him on inaccurate information. Let's watch.
Der vist noget galt her. Hvor er I mange?
Lukas?
Hej.
Kigger du lige ind et øjeblik?
Hvad er det for noget? Hvad er det, der er skidt?
Ja, det kan jeg ikke sige. Måske det bedste, at du tager fri et par dage, ikke? Så kan vi få det her på plads sådan stille og roligt. Nå, hvad har hun nu fundet på, den lille bandit?
Hvad er det, siger? Jeg kender min lille pige, og hun lyver ikke, og det har hun aldrig nogensinde gjort. Så hvorfor skulle hun lyve nu? Sindssygt eller hvad? Hvis du er røst med en lille datter, så får du en kugle lige i panden. Han var på at smøre med liv.
Så ringer og sagde, at der er skidt alt muligt klam nede i børnehaven.
Du skal ikke høre på, hvad de siger, Magnus.
It does look pretty harrowing, doesn't it? I do recognise the actor, though, he was the villain, wasn't he, in 2006 Bond film, Casino Royale.
That must be why everybody in his Danish town turns against him, including his best friend, whose daughter's little fib is what started all the trouble. Mikkelsen is an incredibly versatile performer, and he won the Best Actor prize at Cannes in May for this role. France 24's own Eve Jackson interviewed him in Cannes. Let's watch a snippet.
I think that what they do in the film, the character they bring life to, Thomas and Thomas Bo Larsen, who's the actor, I think it's very spot on. I think it's the dilemma of should I open the door, should I close the door? Should I kill him, should I embrace him? I think that's very truthful. I think that is pretty much what you would do in a situation like that.
Well, also out in French cinemas at the moment is Looper. It's an ambitious and violent science fiction adventure that sounds like a wacky but tantalising premise.
Well, Looper is a dystopian drama, and not without humor. We meet Joseph Gordon-Levitt as Joe, standing in a field in Kansas in 2044, where he's practicing conjugating French verbs. And then in plain English, he tells us about his rather odd profession. Let's watch.
I'm one of many specialized assassins called loopers. We eliminate people from the future. Time travel has not yet been invented, but 30 years from now, it will have been. So when criminal organizations in the future need someone gone, they zap them back to me, and I do the necessaries. The only rule is never let your target escape, even if your target is you.
So let me get this straight then, Lisa. That young man in there, Joe, he grows up to be Bruce Willis. That's old Joe, who is sent back in time from the year 2074 to a Kansas field where his younger self is supposed to shoot him. Can audiences in 2012 grasp this concept?
You summarized that rather well. Yes, of course, if they're paying the attention they can, because the script by writer-director Ryan Johnson makes its own rules and then plays by them. And physicists, by the way, tell us that technically time travel, at least into the future, is technically possible. In the film, the authorities of the future declare it illegal, and so we have bad guys, criminals, using time travel for their own murderous ends.
I don't quite follow, though. I mean, why is a course fellow like that's actually practicing writing French in the first place?
Well, that's a good question. When young Joe is seated in a diner opposite his older self, played by Bruce Willis, he says the way he's going to outsmart what his employers have in mind for him 30 years hence is that I'm going to France. And Willis says, well, no, actually, I'm from the future and you're going to China. And indeed, he does go to Shanghai, where for a very long time, for 3 decades, in fact, which in the math of the film is a magic number.
So beside math, as Lisa would call it, or maths as I would call it, what does the film actually teach us then, Lisa?
Well, I think one of the things the film teaches us is that kids today shouldn't bother going to college, and that would be because they should attend marksmanship school, because the most valuable skill of the future is going to be the ability to shoot people swiftly and accurately. I'll give you an example. The university I attended now costs almost $60,000 a year, and I can't shoot worth a damn, and that means that in 2044, if due to global warming, all of the cinemas have been flooded or crisped, I'll be unemployable. Although I guess I could start my own movie theater, call it the Dystopia, and show movies like this one. And I hope I don't have to spend all my time chasing out people who have snuck in free from the future.
She used to do film trips. She's now doing life skills. Lisa Nethelson on France 24. Let's move on from the problems of the future, though. Problems of the present now. The 3rd annual Human Rights Film Festival. This is organised by the Paris branch of Amnesty International. It ended last night, didn't it, Lisa?
Well, film, as you can imagine, is a superb medium for communicating about human rights and the ways in which they're suppressed or endangered worldwide. And the festival's special prize for human rights went to Anaïs Spontini for her short film Spasiba, which addresses the sad fact that a new law went into effect in St. Petersburg on March 17th of this year concerning homosexuality. And it's not one that works in favor of gay people or of the idea of Russia as a free society. There we see her accepting her award for Spasiba. We have the trailer, so let's watch.
Добрый день. Excuse me? Excuse me? Please.
Извините, у вас есть зажигалка?
What are you doing here? I came here for a film festival, and I vanished.
Yeah, it looks very moving. The music there, Tchaikovsky, isn't it?
That's right, indeed, which makes this a good time to mention that the music lovers, Ken Russell's extravagant 1971 film about the life of the composer with Richard Chamberlain playing Tchaikovsky, will be out in France on DVD next week. Apparently, it's never been available on home video until now, and it has never been shown on French TV. Now, the irreplaceable Ken Russell died a year ago of natural causes. Tchaikovsky's death in 1893, allegedly from cholera, possibly from arsenic, remains suspicious. And according to documents that became available after the fall of the Soviet Union, his death, alas, may have been deeply connected to his homosexuality.
And what's the French expression? The more things change, the more they stay the same.
Indeed. And when you think of it, not only was Tchaikovsky a great composer, but without him, Natalie Portman wouldn't have her Oscar for Black Swan, Swan Lake.
Summed up perfectly. Lisa Nethelson, as ever, our film critic here on a Wednesday here on France 24. Thanks very much. That's about it from us. More news coming up very shortly. Do stay with us.